Hey, welcome back. Chinese Checkers here. What was I gonna say, man? Yesterday's video, I was working on it like all day editing. It was the prom video, and then what ended up happening is right when I went to upload it, our internet went down, which is super cool. Second, is this really harsh and awful lighting? Yes, it is. Also, it kind of blinds me if I look at it, so I'm not gonna, We're gonna talk about A Quiet Place. So I went to see that movie yesterday. My memory's bad. That or I just do a lot of things, so I can't remember. We're a professional media outlet here at youtube.com/HeathBannard, so I got some notes today to take. We're actually gonna do 2 movie reviews, 2 discussions on movies. I don't know if it's a review. I'm kind of saying some stuff. So first off, obviously it is A Quiet Place. The whole gimmick of the movie, I wouldn't say gimmick, the whole thing that differs this movie from other horror movies is that this horror movie is basically, if it hears you, it hunts you. And that's kind of like their slogan, I think. So, you know, they have to be quiet and stuff like that. And so sound in this movie is extremely important. I haven't watched many movies or any movies that I can think of that have done sound in the way that this movie did it, where they have a lot of silence, a lot of very quiet or just ambient noise. Obviously, there's not a lot of speaking in the movie because, you know, they're supposed to be quiet, so it's all sign language. One of the characters has a very interesting relationship with sound, which actually causes the viewer to have a very interesting relationship with it as well, and also ends up becoming sort of a plot device. I went to see this in a dine-in theater, which was awful because, you know, you're trying to eat your food when it's super quiet and there's no noise at all, and then you're taking a bite into like a French fry or something, whatever, you know, and it's just making a lot of noise. There was one part where there is like a pretty decent amount of noise for like a decent amount of time, and you could hear like everyone in the theater, if you really listened, trying to like eat their food quickly so that they could get it down before it got quiet again, I guess. Also, you might have noticed I'm using a lavalier again today. I don't know how that worked out the first time. It was kind of all right. I don't really know how it'll work out this time either. Beginning was, I thought, fantastic. It had a great amount of kind of establishing the world and kind of like the different characters, giving you a good relationship with some of the characters before you jump into like the main narrative of this movie and like the time it is taking place in. The acting, what's that? My second poster! Wow, thanks! Okay, so I'm gonna open that real fast. More tape? Yeah, so acting, there was a lot of sense of like actual urgency, and I think it might have to do, or not, well, urgency, yes, but also the two main characters actually seemed to, have like a relationship and like care about one another rather than just being like 2 people on the screen, which they do. They were married, so, you know, that probably helps. Hey, that looks good. Nice, dude. It was pretty original for a horror movie. I mean, for a movie in general. It had a good sense of actually what it was about. Family, it was pretty easy to kind of tell that that's what it was about, which isn't not a bad thing. I'm not saying that. The ending, I haven't fully thought out my opinion on the ending. It has a parallel to another thing, which was kind of, in a way, similar to this movie. It's not a movie, what I'm referencing. I thought it was really good. I didn't think it was like terribly scary, but I did think it instilled kind of terror in you in how awful it would be to be in that situation and how like terrifying it is to not be able to make any noise when that's like, you know, such a concern. That's a weird thing to say. Okay, so the next movie I wanted to talk about was Ready Player One. I actually saw that movie a while ago. First off, obviously I have to talk about the effects because that was such a big thing in this movie, so I'm gonna talk about the effects and kind of how they did in production and stuff like that. The effects, obviously amazing, so much of the movie's effects and whatever, awesome, great, you know. Effects aren't what makes a movie good. Let's move over there. I can't sit here. I can kind of sit. I don't know, I'm like squatting. Effects were obviously incredible, you know, whatever, cool, you get it. But one thing that is especially awesome about the effects in this movie is that there were 2 companies, like software companies or production, I don't know, but they actually made like the worlds and the spaces that the actors would be in, and they made it in VR. It was like a 3-dimensional space, and they got to see their avatars in 3D and everything like that. So basically, the actors got to put the VR on and then walk around, and it would be like they were walking around in the space. And I know that that's a thing like in games and like different stuff like that, but this was a new thing for movies, and I think it was really awesome. I like stuff like that. Easter eggs in this movie actually actually felt like they should be there. They felt like something that was right to be there. Like it didn't feel like the producers and directors and everyone in this movie making it were just like, oh yeah, throw this in, they'll like that, then they'll go to see the movie, or they'll think it's cooler. It felt like they put them in with care, and they a lot of times didn't show them off because they didn't need to be there. I mean, there are some scenes where you see like, you know, a bunch of Master Chiefs or the Iron Giant or whatever, doing whatever. And you know, they're showing that off, but that's to show like the different characters and like avatars of different people in the game. So they didn't feel like they were always trying to shove them in their face. It felt like they put them there and they were like, if you know this, you will enjoy the movie more. It was probably good for just like your average person, you know, and then for the people that knew all these different Easter eggs and all these different characters and stuff like that, it was probably just more amazing. It was probably just like, oh yes! It's like a sense of accomplishment that you found this thing. They did an incredible sequence like in the middle. I don't know if they actually took footage. They have a scene that has to do with The Shining, and I don't want to talk too much about it, but wow, that was quite a amazing scene. So it's a Steven Spielberg movie, obviously. I say that as if everyone knows directors, and it felt so nostalgic of Steven Spielberg. A lot of his movies are like adventure movies, and they have like this grand scale, and they can be for anyone. You can just enjoy them, but also maybe get something more out of it. Like E.T. was a big one. The Goonies, I don't think he directed that, but he did produce it. Movies that have been kind of revered and stuff like that. And it really kind of felt like his older stuff, and I thought it was super awesome, especially at the end. Lastly, two things that kind of go together. It felt like this movie actually kind of related a gamer or like someone who's really big or kind of like dives so much of their life into video games. It felt like it related their life and their feeling of kind of being ostracized from the public to kind of find an escape and like a home or a haven in video games. It seemed like it related that to a person who like doesn't play video games, who doesn't get it. They're like, I don't understand. Why do you just play so many games like all the time? Why do you spend so much time doing that? And I play video games. I used to like way more. I don't that much anymore. I spend a lot of time in these videos, so I don't really have the time to anymore. People understand, or people I would think would understand. I can't say that because, you know, I'm biased. I already kind of know the feeling and stuff like that of being uncomfortable with people that you just see, or feeling like in the video game, whatever one you play, it's kind of like wherever you can do you, wherever you can be yourself or like do your own thing. You're not being judged. You're just kind of whoever you get to make yourself be, because you might be some awkward kid at school or whatever, and then in the video game you can be awesome, and it feels good, man. You don't have to be big and strong or a jock or a football player or popular. I hope that people at least get the feeling from this movie that being a gamer is okay, and that I hope that people who don't play video games get the feeling after seeing this movie of understanding why people kind of dive into video games so heavily as they sometimes do. Last, it kind of showed gamers that there was like more to the world than these video games, and that it was okay to be different or weird or whatever. In a way that didn't seem like they were like, God, you idiots, why are you doing that? Stop. Felt like they were kind of saying or showing, look at all these other things, dude, that you don't get in a video game. Look at this stuff that happens in the real world. You can never have that in a game. And it's like, life is good, man. Games aren't the only thing that are good. And I don't know, it felt like it kind of brought those two things home in a way that a lot of other movies haven't. Okay, so yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope that you enjoy. I hope that the things that I had to say weren't totally useless. If you want to see more, I post a video every day, except for when my internet goes out. Thanks, bye.